All right, today we're diving into a pretty profound theological argument that comes from a place you would never ever expect. It isn't found in some ancient text or dusty old book, but in something you see every single day. We're talking about the theology of a tire.
I mean, just think about it for a second. The simple tire. It's the foundation of modern transport, of industry. It's a true marvel of engineering. But because they're so common, so completely everywhere, we never really give them a second thought, do we?
But what if that's a huge mistake? What if by ignoring it, we're missing a much deeper truth? There's this radical claim that the humble tire is actually a parable, a physical sermon explaining one of the oldest and most difficult debates in faith.
So to really get this parable, we first need to understand the theological problem it claims to solve. And this is a big one, a tension that's been at the very heart of Christian thought for centuries.
On one hand, you have scriptures saying that salvation is by faith alone. It's a gift of grace, not something you can earn through good deeds. But on the other hand, it also says that a faith which produces no good deeds, no works, is completely dead. So, what gives? Which one is it? Are they in contradiction?
Well, the argument we're looking at says no, it's not a contradiction at all. Instead, it's a covenant, a partnership. They are two parts of the same living reality, and the error we make is in seeing them as separate things. And here's the core metaphor. Faith is like breath, the invisible, life-giving force. You know, in Hebrew, the word for spirit, wind, and breath is the same, ruah. Works, then, are the physical motion that proves that breath is actually present. See, you can't have one without the other. One is the inner cause, the other is the outer evidence.
So, how on earth does a tire explain all of this? This is where it gets really cool. The author asks us to see the tire not just as an object, but as a living, rolling metaphor for this very principle.
First, just picture the physical tire itself, the rubber, the tread, the whole structure. This visible, tangible form, that represents the body of works. It's the part you can see and touch, the actions and deeds. By itself, though, it's just a useless piece of rubber.
Now what gives it life? The air inside. That invisible, pressurized force is the ruach, the breath of faith. You can't see it, but without it, the form is totally meaningless. It has no strength, no purpose. It's just dead rubber.
But when you combine them, when the form of works is filled with the breath of faith, the tire is transformed. All of a sudden, it can bear enormous weight and roll smoothly. This is what the Source calls grace in motion, the perfect union of the visible and the invisible working together. And this point goes even deeper when you think about where the tire's components actually come from. The carbon was forged in stars, the rubber is just sap from trees, the metal was mined from mountains, and the air, it's the invisible grace filling the world. We simply rearrange them. It reinforces the idea that it's not our creation to begin with.
This idea of borrowing elements to assemble something new, well, that leads to the next major point. The argument expands here, from just the tire to include all of human creativity and invention.
The argument is that invention isn't an act of pure creation, but really an act of discovery. I mean, the laws of physics and the principles of engineering all pre-existed us. The inventor doesn't originate the truth, they are simply the first to see it and apply it. So, the process looks something like this. A universal truth is already there. A curious person stumbles upon it. That truth is then unveiled in their mind as an invention. The inventor in this model is more like an archaeologist unearthing a hidden city than a builder creating one from scratch.
And this distinction leads to two totally different mindsets. The proud inventor boasts, "Look what I made." But the humble, or as the author calls it, enlightened inventor, recognizes they've merely been shown something wonderful. Their response is awe, not arrogance.
This connects right back to the idea of ruach, that breath of faith. The very word inspiration comes from the Latin for to breathe into. In this view, every great idea is God breathing a pre-existing truth into a receptive mind.
So this all builds to a really powerful conclusion. If invention is a form of revelation, then technology itself can be seen as a form of theology, a way of understanding the divine.
The author draws a really sharp parallel here. The religious person who claims they earned salvation through their own good works is making the exact same error as the inventor who claims sole credit for their discovery. Both are denying a gift. One denies grace, the other denies revelation.
If every scientific breakthrough and technological marvel is just us uncovering another piece of a grand pre-existing design, then the only logical response isn't patting ourselves on the back. It's worship.
At the end of the day, in this view, there's no real conflict between science and faith. The humble scientist discovering a law of physics and the humble saint experiencing grace are both standing in the same place, in a state of awe before a truth that is so much bigger than they are.
So the next time you see a simple tire, maybe it's worth a second look. According to this perspective, it's a constant reminder that faith needs works, form needs spirit, and human genius is an echo of divine order. And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question to consider. If all truth is just waiting to be uncovered, what are we meant to find next?